Am I the a-hole for not paying my husband's debts? I'm 29 F, and my husband is 30 M. Married for 3 years. My husband has been working since after high school in a respectable job. I went to university for 9 years for my career and have been working for 2 years. Last year, after taxes, I made about 4K more than my husband. His career is pretty stable in terms of salary, and in mine I am expected to have about a 40% increase in income each year for 3 to 4 more years until leveling out. My husband was responsible for himself from a very young age and managed to live a decent lifestyle before marriage. I was supported by my parents until I finished school and got a job, and they covered everything including tuition. My family comes from humble beginnings, although my parents became wealthy through a lot of hard work in my teenage years. What my parents voluntarily gave me, I thankfully accepted. I was taught financial responsibility. He was not. His family is in a constant cycle of financial turmoil due to laziness, bad financial management and decisions, and elective unemployment, which I later found out. When we got married, my parents paid for the entire wedding, for events costing 100K total minus one event which my husband paid for, should have cost 10K. Due to my husband's financial illiteracy, he ended up spending 30K extra during the wedding on unrelated expenses, which included his family milking him for money for their own expenses during the wedding as they realized he had the cash flow. He was not in debt before this. Our wedding gifts included 10K cash, all which I handed to my husband the day after our wedding as I thought that would clear his loans, as that is the impression he gave me. That 10K was all gifted by wedding guests on my family's side. To this day, we do not know what was gifted from his family's side, as his mom kept it all, even though more than half of the guests at the wedding were hers and she didn't pay a dime for the wedding. He paid another 10K off from the last of his savings. A couple of months into our marriage, I came to realize he still has about 20K in debt remaining. 10 months into our marriage, until I was working, my husband continued to pay for rent, same place he was living in before he met me. I moved in, groceries, utilities, and his own expenses. My parents still supported me for that time, bought me a brand new car, and gave my older car to my husband for free, which he later sold, paid for car insurance and my phone, both of which they still pay for, and gave me a generous allowance until I finished exams in order to work. We would share expenses for eating out and recreation, but everything else was separate. As soon as I started working about 10 months after the wedding, my husband found it hard to have ends meet due to job changes and increased personal spending. I started taking on the slack. Currently, I pay for all groceries, eating out 3-4x/week, recreation, vacations, 2x per year, adding up to an average of 12K for the year, vet bills and pet care including food and boarding, his dog that he had adopted before I knew him, but I've grown to love the little guy as my husband would not stay up to date on his care. I pay for gifts for our mutual friends/family, taking friends/fam out 20% of the rent, as our rent increased 20%, so I said I would cover it as he was having a hard time making ends meet at that point. He pays for 80% of the rent and all of utilities. All other expenses are individual. He has a $1,500 payment towards his car, insurance, and gas every month, equating to our total rent. We both know he can't afford it. It was another bad financial decision he made not telling me all the details. My car was gifted by my parents, and they're still paying for my car insurance and phone bill. I've asked to take those over numerous times, but my parents refuse and say they are happy to pay for it. We pay for our own gas, clothes, gifts. He has maybe gifted me 3 things in our time together. All within the first 2 months of marriage. I've given him countless gifts over the years, including plane tickets, cash, designer watches. I never get gifts for my birthday, anniversary, or anything. On his birthday, I spoil him. I do all the errands, groceries, cooking, make his lunches, and do daily cleaning. He does cleaning once a week, and we share pet responsibilities. Besides finances and responsibilities, I would rate my husband a 7 out of 10 as a partner. My husband receives all tax returns and benefits. We live in Canada, and anytime he has a bit of money lying around, he'll buy something we don't need, like a new TV, skis, or a pricey new vacuum. He also has a knack for collecting unexpected expenses such as speeding tickets, car issues, and losing rented ski equipment, to name a few recent ones. No budget. Hence, he is always having a hard time having ends meet. I am a saver, and anytime I have extra money, I put it away for upcoming shared expenses such as vacations, possible kids, which is definitely a maybe at this point, and everything that comes after buying a home, i.e. furniture and appliances. More on this below. I also save for taxes and 7K for work-related expenses per year, which are not covered as I am self-employed. Being self-employed, my income varies month to month, and a few months in the last year, I made 1/2-1/3 of my usually monthly salary, and I was digging into my savings due to work changes. This is the only reason I give him money as a loan, not as a gift. I am his safety net and my own, and although my parents have money, anything they have given me I have never asked for, and I would never like to ask them to help me. They have done more than I could have ever expected. I am frugal when spending on myself, and barely do so. I have an excellent credit score, whereas trying to even think of his credit score now scares the living daylights out of me. Throughout our entire marriage, whether I was employed or not, my husband has asked for large amounts of money from me due to his ends not meeting, up to 2.5K at a time. I refuse to have a joint account with him for the time being, as I know he will easily blow the money, like he did his line of credit. Currently, he has asked me for about 2K, which he said he will give back to me. Last time he asked for 2.5K, he paid it back by selling the car my parents gave to him for free and giving me a portion of that. At one point, my parents also gave my husband a job thinking it would help him. My husband worked there for about 18 months, but left in order to go back to his career and telling himself he could make more money there and pay off his debts. My parents even tried to gift my husband 20K to clear his debts, but he refused, which I am happy about, as I wouldn't have found that fair. No progress on his debts, still making around the same salary. My husband expressed that I don't pay for anything until I did the math, and showed him I actually spend more on shared expenses. He said he does so because he pays for the majority of the rent, which I explained he would have been paying for entirely if we hadn't gotten married, in addition to everything that I now cover. In addition, every week almost it seems like I'm paying for one new thing like house cleaning, which we agreed would be his responsibility when I'm doing the cooking, or our combined accounting fees. Currently, my parents are building a house they will be gifting to me, fully paid, under my name only, in a trust after getting a whiff of his spending habits. They don't want to rule out the possibility of him taking a loan against that gifted house or me losing it in a divorce, which I am also keen on preventing. I am afraid that when we move in, and my husband has the extra cash from no longer needing to pay rent, he will just blow it away and expect me to pay his debts off with my savings. He has alluded to the expectation numerous times throughout our marriage since I am the saver. Even if I do pay them off, I am afraid he will rack them up again. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to pay off his debts? Am I the a-hole for not wanting a joint bank account? Am I the a-hole for giving my husband loans? How should we split expenses moving forward into our home?